This is Talking Trades. Welcome back, listeners, to Season 2, Episode 2 of Talking Trades, the podcast that takes you through the world of trades in New Hampshire and beyond. I am your host, Chris Levesque, the owner of New Horizon Media, and joining me is the greatest co-host with a positive charge, Dr. Electrician Edward Rivera.
Hey, glad to be back. Season 2.
That's right. We are recording on November 18th, 2024 at the amazing Concord Hotel Co-working Suites located in, you guessed it, Concord, New Hampshire. And today we have a guest on our podcast who is in the business of mindset and mental health. So we want to welcome Kat of Treebrook Counseling to the show. Welcome to the show.
Hey.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really excited to be here.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So as I understand it, so where you're located here in Concord, New Hampshire as well, right?
Technically Bow, but it's like 3
Bow.
minutes outside of downtown. It's right, because, Bow can be kind of bumfuck nowhere, or Bow can be like Concord adjacent.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yep, 100%. So Kat, tell us a little bit about yourself. We met at a networking event, or we got introduced through a mutual BNIer, and we connected over at the chamber, the Concord Chamber, right?
Yes.
Real super quick. And then you actually visited my BNI chapter,
Yeah.
which was super awesome.
Making moves.
Exactly. Trying to network my butt off here.
Yeah, like what got you all into this?
Into what specifically?
Yeah, exactly. Like for me, what I got excited about was Chris was telling me that I don't know if it's the main focus, but that you work with contractors. So that got me super excited. Yeah, I wanted to see how you got into that.
Yeah, so little bit of a backstory. So I've been in private practice since 2015, and then insurance. I took insurance at the time. And I didn't really have to do anything. I put up a kind of a half-assed profile on Psychology Today, and I was full for like 5 years. And then insurance was insurance, and there were a lot of problems with it. And I was starting to kind of contemplate, do I want to take it anymore? I was super on the fence. A lot of privacy issues with insurance, just kind of dictating treatment. I don't think they need to know my client's personal business, yada, yada. So I'm like, should I take it? Should I not? Blah, blah, blah. And then in 2022, me and a bunch of other mental health facilities, anywhere from hospitals to private practitioners such as myself, just didn't get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I didn't get paid about $15,000 from the insurance company I was paneled with. Wow. Yeah, it was bad. And speaking of credit scores, as we were talking before, we started, credit score suffered because I couldn't pay my bills. And I'm like, this isn't sustainable. I can't be working and not be able to pay my bills and be super stressed out. So I decided to go self-pay. And it's a different type of stress, but I would take this stress over working with the insurance any day. But that leads me to, well, now I need to network, and now I need to build a website. Now I need to do things, that actually
Connection, build relationships.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Put me more out in the community. So I started with a business coach, and she helped me kind of build a client avatar. She's sort of, like, who's your ideal client? And she got real specific down to like, do they prefer texting or phone calls? Nice. And, do they prefer to scroll social media or watch movies? Everything, yada, yada. And as I was going through in my mind thinking about the bulk of my clients, as I'm answering these questions, it turns out that a lot of my clients do happen to be tradespeople, which I never made that pattern before. It wasn't something I necessarily advertised for, but it just happened to be the case.
I'm so sorry.
If you hear that squeaking in the background, we're not quite sure what that is.
Very confusing. Yeah.
So you naturally realize like, holy crap, like a bunch of my clients just so happen to be like in the trades?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Through kind of building up that avatar. So then I decided I should probably focus in my networking a little bit and reach out to those people, since it seems to be what either I'm gravitating to them, they're gravitating to me for whatever reason. So yeah, I'm kind of focusing my efforts in that direction now.
Did you have to adjust your avatar, like your ideal client, or did it kind of just still naturally align?
That's what it was. That's how that's how I figured out that it was tradespeople, because all the things I was answering, I was like, wait a minute, and then that's what we came up with.
Did you have a name for it before you realized it was tradespeople, or did you go back and you're like, all right, this is tradespeople, like for sure? Because like that was crazy how you already like had the ideal and then came to that conclusion. You didn't have to change anything. It was already your ideal person. Wow.
So it was very helpful, because
That's awesome.
I don't know why. Like normally I'm actually exceptionally good at pattern recognition, but that's just not something I picked up on for some reason.
Well, it just goes to show that like no matter where you're at in life, you could be like just starting or like super high achiever. You always should remain a student. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You can always still learn. You know what I mean? You don't know everything.
Exactly.
Get out of your own way.
Yes.
That is amazing. Wow. Yeah. Wow. And then and I apologize. So how long have you been on this journey, with the company, with your company?
Like I've been
the Treebrook Counseling.
Ooh, when did I change that? Because it was just my name before. It was just Kat Guyette Mladak LLC when I started in 2015. And then it became Treebrook Counseling maybe like a year ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you had any list of questions, but I just immediately was thinking of, since you were before like COVID and everything, how was that for you and your clients, or maybe new clients? Because that was an extremely stressful time. I know for me as a business owner, like, was there any particular moments during that time that you can remember that was like tough or dealing with clients?
The stress mostly honestly came like a year or two post COVID.
Oh, wow.
So during it was kind of okay, in the sense that I got to work from home and I hate wearing pants. And I was like, this is fabulous.
Heck yeah.
My brother has a hashtag. It's, no pants, all dreams. And I'm like,
that needs to be on a t-shirt.
You're exactly.
Right?
I'm like, pants are terrible.
And only a t-shirt.
Right. And like my boobs didn't have to go to boob jail every day. And I'm like, I only had to be professional from the neck up. I'm like, this is
that
great.
Little zoom. Yeah. You just get it from there. You're good.
I loved it. So
that's
like,
awesome.
Yeah. Like I'm wearing a onesie today, basically. This is about as dressed as I get anymore. I don't know. So, it was kind of okay to start. And I was like, okay, working from home, I get my animals, I can do chores, I can take a nap. Like, it was kind of nice during. My clients seemed to adapt to virtual pretty easily. But the stress really came sort of as people, yes, there was stress during, obviously, my clients who had kids and trying to adapt to that absolute disaster of working from home and making sure your kids are going to school online and all that kind of thing. But afterwards, it was once things sort of settled in a little bit more and all the residual stress, that's when things became a little harder in terms of, I guess, kind of stress, overwhelm, and burnout. Yeah.
Yeah. And was it more like, was it more from on your perspective, or like did you notice that also from like your clients as well? Like, were there any patterns you noticed from them? Like you're like, wow, a lot of them are going through kind of similar things. I'm just curious again from my own side as being a father, husband and a business owner, like just kind of curious what other people maybe were going through.
My clients, so the people who I work with tend to definitely be a little more kind of higher functioning in the sense that they're not, actively in the depths of addiction or, chronic and persistent mental health, like schizophrenia or untreated bipolar or something like that. So I'd say it was kind of the typical life stressors just exacerbated.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just magnified whatever they were already kind of dealing with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, it sort of more felt like, the depression kind of coming afterwards, and that's sort of also what I noticed in them, because there definitely is a collective unconscious where I do notice that a lot of times if one client comes in and says, I'm having trouble sleeping, it could be literally anything. I'll be thinking in my mind, okay, I had like 7 other clients who said that same thing. And sometimes it's me as well. I'm like, I've been, struggling with that too. So there is sometimes a universal collective unconscious thing going on.
Yeah.
But I'd say post-COVID, it was mostly some depression, because I think it's sort of, a lot of us were in survival mode during. And then once things settled, it's like all the emotions could come up and people would just crumble a little bit.
In.
Yep. Yeah. All the emotions came finally, were allowed to come in.
Yeah, I remember a big thing that I was concerned about was just, especially being in the trades, you got to be in people's homes, you know?
Right.
And it was like, yeah, sorry, that ain't happening. It's like, cool, yeah, we were considered, I forget what they gave the title.
Essential workers.
Essential workers.
Yeah.
So that's fine, but still, the people don't want you in their home. So I remember thinking to myself, like, man, I got a lot of people I got to keep busy working. And it's just like, how am I going to figure this out? You know what I mean? So I remember there was a lot of just like doubt and uncertainty, and that would keep me up at night, you know? And so thankfully, you know what I mean? You know, if you pay attention in life, you grow a certain resilience, you know what I mean? But that was definitely something that was hard to tackle mentally while going through it. You know what I mean? It was like, wow, like, am I going to be able to survive after this? Like, is my company going to be around after this? They're, like, all these things are happening, and I got to be able to like whack-a-mole a million things. And so I remember that was just a huge stressor for me, like during that whole time. Yeah.
That's something I was super grateful for, because I thought about that. The people who need to either have, you know, physical hands-on to people, or people who need to be in other people's homes. Like, it took a little creativity on my part, because some of the therapeutic modalities that I employ are kind of hands-on. Some yoga therapy, some dance movement therapy. And it's like, okay, I guess I just need to instruct them to do the thing to themselves. And, you know.
Right.
But yeah, it took a little more creative thinking.
Yeah, no, that's great. Because I remember I was just about to say, like, meditation was a huge one for me. And I was going to say, definitely what worked for me was just leaning into your people, you know, and other professionals. Like, I remember I went to my doctor, and that was one of the first things he said. He's like, do you meditate? Like, do you go on walks? Like, like what are you doing to work on you? You know what I mean? He's like, so when you do that, you'll be able to translate better for everybody else, you know? And so that was huge for me, is getting that help.
Yes, and that's something to kind of go to your point, if I can just jump to overwhelm, because we're kind of talking about
definitely.
it.
100%.
Or burnout, rather, is being able, you know, and something that... Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. I'm trying to put like 30 thoughts together.
It's all good.
ADHD.
Same over here.
But even that in itself, ADHD has been like huge. Like, there's been a lot of attention about ADHD.
Yes.
I've been told a few times already by other professionals, like, hey, have you ever been tested? Like, because I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so. But
Right. And I understand a lot of people are thinking it's kind of, it's just coming up now. Why are all of a sudden people being diagnosed with it? You know, it seems like a trendy thing. And I understand that, you know, and where that's coming from. But first of all, people thought it was diagnosed back in the day anyway, which it was.
Yep.
But now part of it is we are just gaining more awareness of it.
I was just about to say, we're becoming more educated.
Right.
Information is accessible to everybody.
So people actually know,
Yeah.
you know, especially women, because there definitely are gender stereotypes for certain mental health issues. So like women tremendously underdiagnosed. So a lot of them are coming forward and saying, you know, oh, geez, I actually do have this. It's not just quote unquote anxiety and depression. But some of it is, you know, it's a lot of things are being TikToked, you know, in the sense of, oh, if you blink, that's a trauma response. And people are like, oh, I have PTSD. And it's like, no, that's not how that works.
The pendulum keeps to swing in all the crazy directions.
So it gives helpful information, but still being able to figure out, do I genuinely have this? But there is something to be said for one can... obviously not certain issues, but one can kind of talk themselves into symptoms.
Yep.
You know, and it's just like if you have enough stress, you can create physical illnesses.
Yep.
You know, if there's enough stress in your life, you can get high blood pressure, you can get ulcers, you know, worse, or mental health issues, you know, depression, suicide, onward. It's the same kind of thing that you can sort of talk yourself into creating symptoms. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's very nuanced, which is why going to somebody who knows how to diagnose people.
Right. That's why we're having you on here.
Yep.
You know? I think that's the best way to combat like the TikTok version of it is like what's good about it, I think, is a double-edged sword, is it maybe get someone maybe interested in the topic. And then what we hope people like you, we have on this platform where they can actually get a better direction. The people maybe who are interested, get them pointed in the right direction, you know?
Right.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, the biggest message here that we want to kind of convey is like if you feel like you're experiencing kind of a mental health episode, one, if you're in danger, call 911 right away. Number two, if you feel like you're feeling a little stressed out or, you know, you're experiencing some light mental health kind of symptoms, always seek out a professional.
Absolutely.
Always seek out a professional.
Yeah. And they have other lines now too.
Yeah, so
you
the
think it should have say 988?
Yeah, I was going to say, so the National Suicide Prevention Line is 988.
Yeah.
988. So if you or anybody, listeners, if you or anybody out there is experiencing any kind of a suicidal thoughts or anything, please dial 988.
And I think what I'll do too is, do you know Jen Landon?
Yes.
In our ABC,
Yep.
she's part of that. I think it's like Text Help or something.
Yep.
I want to do a meeting with her because I want to learn more about that as well. I don't want to put false information on here, but I do want to find more info on that because I think that's pretty awesome as well. And it's all around mental health awareness. You can text and get access to resources.
Side thought here, I was like, man, I would love to have Jen and Kat on at the same time.
Would you be willing to come back?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, that'd be cool. Oh, dude, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, get multiple experts on here. Yeah,
that would be really interesting.
Yeah. So kind of getting back on topic a little bit here about burnout and stuff. So so recently, I read an article in Psychology Today about men in their 40s who are experiencing this like severe burnout, and it's not just like, oh, I had a rough week this week,
right?
Or oh, I had a rough day and work sucked, but I'm gonna go back. I was with my friends, watched a movie, I'm kind of relaxed, kind of re-energized. No, we're talking about severe burnout, meaning like. Some examples were like just getting through the day was a monumentous effort,
right?
And you just feel drained, and you can just look at a person and be like, you are definitely like you're tapped out. And they were saying too that like the longer that the burnout goes on, the longer it takes to recover from a burnout. Yeah. And there's some kind. I think there's an actual diagnosis in the DSM. I think for that too.
For burnout?
Yeah, they were talking about that too. It was like I think the LSS manual or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might be, maybe there's like, the ICD or more.
That's what it was, the ICD. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, Edward.
Oh, good.
But like what you were talking about, kind of the day thing, that's stress. People have stress.
Right.
But so burnout is not necessarily chronic stress. It can be. So chronic stress can just be stress that lasts a long time, but one can manage it well. So like you were saying, with the whole COVID thing, you went to your doctor and you had support systems and meditation and all those kinds of things. That's what's great for stress.
Prevention.
Exactly. So, and that can go on, you can have stress for maybe 2 years of your life or something like that. Burnout can be caused by chronic stress, but not necessarily. So burnout is more of that almost existential, I have nothing left to give type of thing. So did the article say at all, like what was their hypothesis that men in their 40s?
Yeah. It's more like men in their 40s that started to experience this kind of like severe burnout. And it's not like just from work stress, it was life stress. Because another thing that they had talked about was like work-life balance doesn't really exist. Right. It's just life balance all around together. You know, and so like men who were in their 40s who were parents and also business owners, or maybe they were like an executive or a CEO or something like that, they were experiencing like this out of nowhere, like just bleh, you know what I mean? And yeah, so I didn't get too far into the article, and I kind of wish I did. I definitely wish I did, but yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry.
I'd be curious, you kind of fall back on the culturally classic midlife crisis, but that kind of is a thing that happens. It's like if your kids are growing up or you're hitting certain markers or you've achieved a business, it's sort of like, what is left for me now in my life? So the burnout, again, it's kind of co-created. There are definitely some social, cultural, systems type problems, but also we can contribute to our own burnout by how are we viewing those stressors? How are we viewing our own world? What is our self-esteem like? How are we coping with stress? How are we sort of judging ourselves internally and externally? How are we talking about maybe our jobs or our families, saying, oh, I'm not appreciated here. Nobody cares about me at my job.
Yeah, no, that's also too one of the biggest things that one of the things that they mentioned in the article was like if you're at a job where you you don't feel like you're supported, or you feel like you're micromanaged, or maybe there was some kind of a shift in the way that that business itself operated.
Right.
It's funny you mentioned midlife crisis. Hello.
Yeah, same.
I went from being a social worker, you know, for 13, 14, 15 years to just like an experienced, I'm calling it burnout, extreme burnout, experienced extreme burnout, where I just needed to, well, Edward knows this. I mean, he kind of pulled me out of like a super dark place. Thank God. Dude saved my life over
Love
here.
you, brother.
Love you too, man. And so like, and it's funny, I still get like emails or I'll, like from Indeed or something about folks in that field that are like, hey, come back in. And it's like, no. I did this for 13 years, guys. Like totally burned out. I don't even, the thought of it, of wanting to go back to that in itself is just like, it's heavy, it's weightful. And it's just like, no, it's like pulling you back to that dark place. And I'm like, nope, I've stepped away from that. I'm good. You know? So anyways, getting back to my original point, it was not feeling supported or feeling, you know, there's a shift in management or something like that. And all of a sudden you're like micromanaged, or you're not getting rewarded for your hard work and your effort and stuff like that. Like that is a huge contributor to like the big burnout. Yeah.
Cause you know, pizza day isn't going to show that you're cared about and acknowledged.
Right?
And there, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from everything I've experienced, there does seem to be a lot of ego in the trades and a lot of, you know, bickering and arguing. And it's kind of that vying for top dog, you know, and nobody knows things like I know things, this person's an idiot. And so, yeah, there's a lot of real and perceived stress in the trades, and being able to figure out how can I communicate effectively? How do I determine an internal locus of control, you know, so I feel like I do have power in a situation? How can I learn how to cope with stress and, you know, not bring it home or bring it home in a healthy way? And if all that kind of fails, it's information. Is my job, my marriage, where I live, you know, is XYZ sustainable?
Absolutely.
And it's in trying to be as objective as possible and just take it as information, as opposed to these are bad things that are happening to me and I can't do anything about it. Again, some of it is a systems issue, you know, where other things need to change, but we have more power than I think we give ourselves credit for.
Yeah. And I think we need to like change, switch how we do things in the construction industry before, you know, like when I came out as an apprentice, it was all that. It was all the hazing and very, very toxic. And I remember me and my business partner, I was like, when we started our business, none of that. I was like, I don't care if you're brand new, you're the janitor, you're one of us, the owners, everybody gets respect across the board. And mental health was like at the very top of everything. Yeah. You know, because I was like, we can't function and can't return back to our family safely if we're starting our day wrong, or if we're being treated unfairly, you know? And I was like, it's got to stop. I was like, the industry just can't continue on like that. And so for us, and Chris will tell you, like, that's always been a huge priority. Like all of our team, we're always talking about how to get better. I'm even giving people books to read, not just technical stuff, just how to become a better communicator, how to become a better human being. I was like, that's going to make you more well-rounded and a happier person. And I recently, I've been really trying to focus on, ever since we've met, trying to change the culture, you know, how we do at mine. And I think I've been going down as, what was it called? I was just reading about the other day, the Peter Principle. You know, where basically, you know, there's, you know, especially with businesses, there's this inherent like assumption that like, oh, because you're good at one thing, it translates to other things. And it's like, that doesn't always work. You know what I mean? Like, that's like me taking one of my electricians, they're real good with tools in their hands, and then bring them into an admin all of a sudden. It's like, yeah, you're a badass electrician. You're probably a badass office manager. It's like, nah, that doesn't always translate. And I think that happens a lot. It's happened to me. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you start getting this imposter syndrome, right? You're like, oh, I was good, but now they got me this other position, and it's like, I want to please, and so you just stay unhappy for like 20 years in a job that you hate. And again, I think that could lead to burnout. You know what I mean? Like you said, you just keep doing this thing. You don't have mechanisms in place to help that, but it doesn't help if your company also is putting these pressures on you. And I'm trying to reverse all that. So I care a lot about like setting up my people for success, because it helps my company too. Everybody wins, you know what I mean? If they're all positioned and aligned with like maybe their intrinsic goals, not extrinsic, like my business. Like extrinsic goals for me is like, oh, we want to hit $1 million. I'm like, maybe that's not the goal of that employee. Like, what do you want to do with your life while you're working here too? Let's explore that. So that way you can at least be kind of happy while you're here. You know, so that's my long-winded version of me trying to always make the culture a more happier place.
No, that's great because like, there was a training that I was watching on like being like a leadership training and stuff like that. It was like a future CEOs, and it said like you need to pay attention to your employees because every employee wants something different out of their job. One person might want more money. And that's understandable. Another one, maybe they just want more time off.
Yeah, they don't care about those things. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Like you as a leader, as a business leader, as a business owner who have employees, it's your job. You've got to figure out what it is that make your employees happy.
Absolutely, man. I think the whole industry rises up. You know what I mean? Because I want to train other business owners. I want them to start their businesses too. You know what I mean? And we got to start at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely.
It's like my favorite thing to moonlight as, taking people from their unhappy little jobs and helping them start their own businesses.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I
think we talked about that a lot too. We have lots of conversations about how to help pull other people out of the void.
It's like my favorite thing. I've helped a few people start, private practices and get out of, just because it was, for me personally, it was never the client. I never had a job where I'm like, I'm so frustrated and stressed and I hate my job and whatever because of the clients.
Right.
Literally ever. It was always management.
Yep.
It was always underpaid, micromanaging, bullying, whatever it was.
Preach.
Yeah. But what's kind of interesting, with because the trades is a male-dominated field still, and that's fine. It's not a problem. But what's interesting is, like you said, not having the hazing, and a lot of men do connect with each other through banter. And so finding that balance of not kind of feminizing, but making communication work for them. How do we still have our male connection in a healthful way?
Absolutely. Yeah, because I think if you don't bring that side into it, like it like we talked about balance, that's the one where I truly believe there needs to be balance. Like for me, I don't know if it was because I grew up with all sisters, and on my mom's side it was all mainly women, but like I grew up just really understanding, I don't even just say female or women, but just there's a different level of thinking,
right?
You know what I mean? And I bring that to my personal well-being and how I function in life, and I'm like, wow, this is really actually helping me just become like an independent person, not even a male or female thing, like just learning how to wash dishes and things that, like, I guess you could call traditional stuff that women do.
Yep.
I'm so glad that I was given chores that normally like my sisters would do. I was put on that too. And I'm so glad I learned those things as an adult to take care of myself, and then I could contribute better to like my marriage and then my family, you know what I mean? And it goes beyond just, I feel like the other thing with men is like, I feel like if you're not making a lot of money or you're not doing certain things, you're not considered useful.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I feel like that is also a conversation I like to talk about as well, And so for me, at least, there's a feeling of, I don't know what to call it, but I like being able to contribute to the household. You know what I mean? I like being able to be more than just this guy who just brings money home and whatever. You know what I mean? So it makes me feel better as a father and a husband.
Right. And so I think that's kind of part of it, because the whole, I have nothing left to give in terms of burnout. Again, stereotypically, you do hear that more from women. Like if you think back to any movie or any relationship or anything, real life or not, it's women saying, I have nothing left to give. And because, again, traditionally, moms, stay-at-home moms or whatever, and burnout has a lot to do with your relationships and community and connection. And so it's like, if I feel underappreciated and I'm giving, I'm going to experience burnout. So now that men are kind of more, not just literal financial providers, I think that some of that is kind of coming in. And the answer is not, go back to being detached from your family. Exactly. I think it's a wonderful thing that men are becoming active fathers and emotional fathers and very invested in their relationships. So I don't think the answer is, go back to being completely detached from your kids. But I think it's providing men what women also needed. So just people, which is support. You need support, you need gratitude, you need fair compensation, whatever that looks like. You need these things that, again, part of it is a systems issue, but part of it is a you issue. How am I coping with this? How am I learning how to communicate? How am I finding that I have power and control in my own life? How am I dealing with stressors?
Yeah, and the best thing I ever did was talk to professionals that helped like kind of make sense of all of that. You know, because it's like you can try. And here's the other thing with like business owners and even technicians and whatnot. Like we feel like we can fix everything,
right?
You know what I mean? Like because that's what we do. We just fix things, and so it's like you can try, and it's not a bad thing to try to work on yourself, but at some point you do want to seek help and get professionals involved because they can help you take it to like the next level, make you help understand, you know, what's going on, you know, and I think that was the best thing for me was talking to people that helped me become a better communicator, maybe come up with systems that can help me combat when I'm stressed out.
Right.
And I love that because then it helped me be better with my team. It helped me be better at home. You know what I mean? It translated in all kinds of other ways. You know, and I loved it.
You become more successful and therefore you feel more personally empowered, you know.
We'll be right back. Don't turn us off.
Let's go.
Edward.
Let's go.
Yo,
Hey, you like drinking coffee?
of course I do, brother.
I love
Coffee
drinking
snob.
coffee too. So new to the show, so we just created a buymeacoffee.com account. So listeners can actually go to buymeacoffee.com/talkingtrades
Wow.
and buy us a coffee.
That's amazing.
How awesome is that?
Yes, please, thank you.
And
Yes.
you know, any contribution helps us to keep the show going.
Oh, absolutely. We got some major plans that are not just going to be, you know, I think beneficial to listeners, but also like game-changing stuff. Because like we're trying to do something a little different than what they do on normal podcasts, and you'll guys see as it starts to unfold. But honestly, getting support like that, like buying the coffee, stuff like that, that helps us grow and also helps
100%.
us improve the quality.
And you know what else we can do? Whoever buys us a coffee, we can keep track of, and we can give them a shout out.
Ooh, yes. Let's do that.
Who doesn't want to be have a shout out
Oh, for sure.
on a podcast?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that. And then maybe if they have like some sort of professional background or a business or something like that, we could pick like a winner of someone who buys us a coffee too to have them on.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That'd be crazy, right?
Right? Send us some swag.
That's what I'm saying. You buy a coffee, next thing you know, you're sitting in front of us, getting drilled with motivational questions.
And so, listeners, if you love the Talking Trades, please go to buymeacoffee.com/talkingtrades. Buy us a coffee. You can make small contributions. You can make large contributions. You can even do a subscription. But all proceeds go towards helping Talking Trades keep on providing these podcasts, keep on bringing these stories in, and everybody that we interview.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate
Yes.
your support. And please, again, I'm going to say it one more time. Please go to buymeacoffee.com/talkingtrades. Thank you.
That's good, brother. Yeah, me and my wife argued less because I just became a better communicator.
Right.
I learned how to like listen and not just wait to talk.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we have a thing now where it's like, are we troubleshooting or am I just listening? And it's like, nah, you're just listening. Meaning, shut my mouth. I'm just here to just listen because that's all that needs to happen right now. So those things,
I know where
man,
that came from.
yeah, remember that? Absolutely.
That was a good episode.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, you know? And so, like, those little things I wasn't able to figure out on my own. I got that from just talking to a professional who, like, knows these things, and that's why they're there. That's why you guys are there, you know? And so, again, it get help. It translates to your marriage, your relationship with your kids. Like, I remember one of my business coaches, he was teaching me how to ask like questions, like just open-ended questions. And I was like asking him, well, how can I practice more? And he's like, well, just go practice on your kids. He's like, a couple of things are going to happen. He's like, you'll get better and they're going to love that their dad is so interested in them.
Right.
And so I do that all the time. We'll go for walks like Massapequa and I just ask him a million questions because it's helping me become better at my job too. You know, but it's making my relationship with my kids better. So there's no balance, right? It's just life. It's just fitting it all together and that's it. You know, making your kids part of your business part of your kids. Like you got to figure it out. Absolutely.
So Kat, tell us, what was your experience about starting your own business?
Woo. So that's kind of something I haven't still quite put on the I'm a business person hat. Like I consider part of my identity therapist. And I love my job. And I feel almost not embarrassed, but I feel a little bad sometimes saying it because I know a lot of people are, you know, oh, I wake up and there's some days I don't want to go or I hate, and I'm like, I don't, like, yeah, some days I'd rather sleep, but like I literally don't have a day where I love it.
Yeah.
But I identify as therapist. I don't identify as business person. So I'm trying to really put on that hat, because it's like I do have to do the networking thing and try to get clients and not have that in my mind feel salesy or all about money, so it's again, just a mindset shift. So it never really felt like I started a business. It felt like I just opened a space to be able to do my job, and just, I don't know. I'm having a hard time putting on business person hat.
Yeah, that is a weird one.
And embodying that one. And I know I need to, because in order to be a therapist, I have to be a business person.
Right,
I can't. Yeah. No, I'm not going to be able to see people if they don't know I'm there.
Yeah. No, I definitely see where you're coming from, because I remember we're at like 8 years now, but I remember I had to realize like I got to like do the, what do they say, the oxygen mask before you help the next person. I'm like, if I want to keep helping people, I do have to take care of the business too. Right. You know what I mean? To keep the lights on. Yeah. So I think just for me, it helped reframing like what am I actually doing here? You know what I mean? Because I felt guilty too. It's like, man, I got to like charge people and I got to like sell myself and stuff. It felt gross. You know? I think the other thing too is changing my idea of sales. Like there's this traditional concept of sales, and then at least we know there's a different version of it. And I feel like everybody already knew it. It's just educating people, just helping people. That's it. Don't try to sell anything. You know what I mean? That's how I do. I wake up every day just like, I'm just trying to make a friend. We're going to talk electrical. We're probably going to talk life, because that's I like to talk when I go into people's homes. So I'm like, at the end of it, if we feel like we want to do business together, that's cool. If not, that's also cool too. Never trying to sell anything. And that changed my whole perspective on sales and what I'm actually doing, So look at it completely different now. So that's just my little bit of advice, No,
it's true, because it's, and this is something that I do tell my clients, a behavior might be the same, but your intention behind it is different. So like we just bought a house, and so we've had a lot of tradespeople come and fix things. You heard a little bit about that fun story and what happened.
Oh yeah.
We had a catastrophe. So we had to have excavation and plumbing, and then the water damage guy, and then the heat went out. So then the HVAC, like I don't know one type of person we haven't had so far, but it felt embarrassing, because again, it kind of felt salesy, but like I'd see them out there all day, and I'm like, are you people eating food?
Probably not.
It's been like 8 hours. And one of them said that. He's like, no, I just don't eat during the day, go home. And, it's like, I have a Tic Tac for the day and then 3,000 calories at night. And it's like, okay, cool. So I I started talking to him about self-care, and, I don't want it to come across like, you seem mentally ill, here's my card. But, the whole thing of, I can help you and you don't have to come to me, but like, I want you to know that like, this is out there. So yeah, instead of, I need a client, come see me, that salesy thing, the behavior is the same. I'm giving my card, but the intention is, I see you struggling. Yep. I see the self-care not being the best, and I want to offer this.
Yeah. No, honestly, I think there's something there to continue exploring, because like, again, with the stigma in construction, I think trying to approach contractors and like, I don't know, calling them or like sending them emails or doing this other way, it's going to be hard to connect with them. But like the way you did that, like, it's like meeting them there. You're like on a job site. It was your house. But that could be an angle where you're connecting with people, because it's going to be like, oh yeah, you're here. You see the environment I'm working in. Like, this sucks. Yeah. So you could legitimately be like, yeah, I see it. I understand. Like, I can help.
Right.
And I think that's going to resonate a lot more,
And there's like, because I've never really needed them before. I mean, this is our first house, and I rented before that and landlord. So like, I never really had need for a lot of tradespeople in my life. And we do, as grateful as I try to be, and as much as I try to practice gratitude, you do naturally take things for granted. And I did not recognize the importance, the significance, how they literally make the world go around and allow you to live your life until we really needed them. And so it's like, okay. And then, flashing back to some of my client talks and how it's like, you don't stretch your body. He's like, well, I'm moving all day. And I'm like, no, that's not like, it is movement, but that's not.
Right. It's not healthy movement.
Right. You're still getting a lot of tension there, and you're not eating, and you're going home and you're stressed. And yeah, but there's also just that mental idea, like you said, is you guys are so necessary to literally make life function. And then there's outside of that too, you know, your friend Joey calls you and it's like, hey, just have a quick question about but does Joey invite you over for anything else? Does Joey talk to you? You know, it kind of feels like that's all you're good for.
Your social interaction is just on your job site.
Right. Yep. Right. So, So, I mean, kind of keeping in mind that community, that connection, that self-care, being able to ask for your needs, you know, yada, yada.
Even, honestly, you know, the story that you just told, like, if that's all I heard and I saw you like on like a Facebook reel or something and that's all I heard was that reel, I would have been like, man, she gets it. She gets us. You know what I mean? Like storytelling is huge too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially from a branding perspective, man. Like I would have been like, all right, I'm going to save her information because then you'll see all these other people talking about mental health, which is amazing. But I don't know, for me at least, and it sounds cliche, but it's like I feel like most people don't understand what we go through. If you're not in some capacity, and hearing that kind of story would make me feel like, all right, I definitely want to talk to that person more. I feel like they understand what I'm actually going through, not just saying it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, so I don't know. I just wanted to highlight that because I'm big on stories.
Yep.
And that's what's got me connected to so many people who's changed my life is hearing some sort of amazing story, and I want a part of that. You know. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, and that obviously definitely is more experience from clients, you know, and just kind of the things I've heard over and over and over and over and over again. And for me personally, I work with men and women, but I do prefer to work with men because I do have a more masculine mindset, you know, in the sense of I've struggled through all those things of, you know, being too embarrassed to cry in front of myself, let alone other people. I didn't like crying at all, you know, and struggling with anger and just some of those kind of stereotypical masculine things and not wanting to communicate, never wanting to admit I'm wrong, you know, the big ego, like all those kinds of really stereotypical toxic things. And I work on those every day, but it's like between that and I do tend to talk more blunt, you know, and be more kind of direct and straightforward. It tends to work better with men.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, today's society is more prevalent than maybe past societies or whatever, but anger is more prevalent in the everyday life.
Yes.
You know?
Yep. It's, I'm sure there's just, you know, a lot of cultural things and a lot of the division that is actively being created. Again, some of it's there naturally. A lot of it is being created. But typically, women are encouraged and allowed to feel all of their emotions except for anger, and men are discouraged from feeling or showing any emotion except for anger. So unhealthy for both.
Absolutely.
Because men and women have one thing in common, and it's that we're humans, and all humans have emotions. Anger is an emotion. You know, and so it's like being able to express all of these things in a way you personally feel comfortable with. So it's not, you know, I'm going to get you to cry, but it's like, how can you get in touch with your sadness, your frustration, your anger, your whatever it is in a way that's not going to be detrimental for you or the people around you?
100%.
You know, because like we were talking about phones earlier and, you know, I'm going to put my husband on blast. That's okay. It's like, I don't know how many, I think 3, he went through 3 phones in maybe a year, just, you know, like smashing them. And it's like, that's the kind of thing is, well, that's money. Our phone bill is so high right now. We're paying for all those phones. And so, you know, and he got into therapy, which wonderful. And it took a long time. It took me 9 therapists to find one that I jived with. And it took him a lot of therapists to find one that he connected with and really worked with because he's a veteran as well. So there's another level of struggle. But his ability to communicate as well, you know, and express that anger in a way that's not going to cost us a bunch of money.
What's your husband's name?
Josh.
Josh, hey, me and Edward here Talking Trades just want to say thank you for your service.
Yes, and we're proud of you.
100%.
Yes. Yeah, because I think you need to normalize therapy. Like, it's not a weird thing. I don't know where that whole thing came from of like, oh, someone's going to therapy. It's like, oh, something's wrong. It's like, no, man, I think you could be totally fine, too, and still seek therapy.
There's a huge stigma about that. You're
100%
it's
crazy,
correct.
man.
And
It's
I always used to say everybody should be in therapy, not because you have something wrong with you, but because, like, just to sit down, prevention, right? We talked about prevention.
Yes.
Just to sit down after, like, maybe a long, hard week, just to say, man, I am super stressed. here's what I went through, and I just need you to listen.
Exactly.
And it's like you said, Kat, like, you know, we're all getting stressed out over here, but you got to have these things in place to help you manage that stress, or else it can lead to the burnout and all this crazy depression. You know what I mean? And I think therapy is one of those. It's like an outlet.
And that's one of my clients, and he was absolutely right. And I didn't take any offense to it. I found it absolutely hilarious. But, you know, finding someone who can just listen to you, he's like, yeah, you guys are kind of like emotional hookers. And I'm like, you are not wrong.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious.
Emotional hookers.
Yeah.
Wikipedia, you listening?
I was this close to putting it on my business card and being like the emotional hooker you didn't know you needed.
That's some good branding right there.
I'm going to get the wrong type of people. So I did not. But yeah, it's that's another bonus of not taking insurance. And I understand the major downside is money. Like, call a duck, it is what it is. But if you have insurance and you want to go to a therapist and you don't have anything, you know, hugely wrong, you need a diagnosis for your insurance to cover it.
Right.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's interesting.
So either the therapist has to commit some sort of fraud and just give you a diagnosis, or you're going to have to pay out of pocket.
Well, I can, so I know, and I don't want to throw them under the bus or mention names here, but mental health centers would do just that.
Adjustment disorder.
Yep.
That's the classic.
Yep.
Wow.
Or ODD.
Yep.
What the hell is that? Not ODD. Yeah.
So that's their code way of doing it, like adjustment disorder.
Which I'm not faulting them at all if they do that, because you.
But if you're doing it under false pretenses, I guess, right? Like
legally, there's a problem. Ethically, I don't see a problem. Personally, and I know a lot of people would absolutely give me shit and think I'm a bad person.
I think as long as it's done by a professional, like I just don't want like people doing armchair like psychology on themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm with you. Like, yeah, if you go to a professional and they're like, yeah, I can really help this person, I just have to adjust. Totally fine.
Right.
It's just the other people that are like, I think I have all this. It's like, it's cool and all, but definitely go talk to someone because you could be going down the wrong path.
Yeah.
You know?
Super careful about fast food psychology.
By professional, hell yeah, sometimes you got to bend the rules, man, and do it every day.
So it's definitely a bonus of being self-pay, because I do tell them it's like you don't have to have something quote unquote wrong with you. Like therapy for me is maintenance. Like I've been going to therapy, I don't know, like 12 years or something like that, and I'll go forever. You know, it's just like how some people, even though they're 30 years sober, still go to AA. People go to church even though they believe in, you know, their higher power. It's just their maintenance, their grounding, their touchstone.
I remember my mind was blown when one of my coaches or mentors, they had a coach and a mentor, and then their coach and mentor had a coach and a mentor, and I was like, how far does it go up? He's like, it just keeps going, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, okay. I was like, yeah, it's always ongoing. You know, you're always a work in progress.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So, you know, if you adopt that mindset, you know, it helps a lot.
No, it's nice. It's so I'm kind of having a better understanding about the pros of like going to see a therapist that doesn't accept insurance, that's self-pay only. You know, you're seeing all these other kind of pop-up internet therapy places that are all of a sudden coming up. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, be careful though.
What I'm thinking about.
Yeah, a lot of breaches of client confidentiality and personal information. So you might be $2 a session, but you're gonna have your information spread all over the internet. It's. I mean, you grow too big too fast, and you can't. Yeah,
it's one of those things that has to be respected. You know what I mean? Don't go cheap. You know. Definitely respect it.
And so,
protect your information,
and when I say cheap,
right.
I don't mean just price even too. You know what I mean? Like really pay attention to who you're going to be telling this information to. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes.
It's 100%. Super important about the person that you're talking to on the other side, maybe on the other side.
Yeah, where they just someone watched some YouTube videos and now they think they know some stuff and they're trying to charge people. It's like, no, you got to be careful.
Right.
Yeah.
So anybody can throw credentials after their name, you know?
And there are certain people in certain fields that are sort of de facto respected, you know, therapists, doctors, judges, police, lawyers, and it's like they're all just people too. We are just people. We can make mistakes. You know, we might not be the best person for you. You can ask for somebody else. You know, like I tell my clients for a session, if you don't like me, don't trust me, don't respect me, don't think I'm competent, you know, whatever it is. And if I think that I don't have the capacity to help you, like we're sort of interviewing each other. Like, let me know that, and I'll try to help you find somebody who's better suited for you.
Yeah, I mean that even goes with other medical stuff. Like with my doctor, the one I was telling you about, like him saying, "Do you meditate or do any other things?" It was because when I was looking for a doctor, I was interviewing them too, just like they were. And I was like hearing certain things where I'm like, nah, I could see this not going well. I could see them maybe just want to get me on a bunch of medication like real quick. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying there's just certain things where like, you know what I mean? Like, and so when I met this guy, it was cool because we were like we had this synergy, right? And I think it's worth being patient and finding that right person, you know, that you're gonna really get intimate with when you tell stuff. And so now that was a good decision because now when I go to him, I know we're gonna both default to like not just certain traditional things, but other things to try to help me stay focused. You know what I mean? He really does care, you know. So it's worth finding a good that person for you.
Taking the time.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. No, it really is because, like I said, both my husband and I, it's taken us a lot of people, but it's so worth it. The effort.
Yeah, he's like my person now. I can call him that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I guess the only thing for me is I just wish that, especially here in New Hampshire, I wish that mental health or accessing mental health there was an easier path to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because unfortunately, right, like you get the counsel. If you're looking for somebody that just has insurance to cover it through your insurance, you got to go through this huge list of calling saying, hey, do you accept new patients? Are you accepting new patients? And then you wait like 6-7 months, and then you sit down for their first appointment. And what if you don't jive with that person?
Right.
Great. Now I got to wait another 6-7 months.
Exactly. You know? It is. It's exceptionally hard. And even someone, you know, I'm in the field and I know what to do. Calling or emailing people, a lot of folks, and I hear this from my clients, you don't get a response at all. And I understand if you're full, but you know, either because some people don't put their full, so either put your full or shoot me an email saying, you know, I'm not taking people right now or anything. I don't understand. And yes, I get once in a blue moon, of course, things have slipped through the cracks. I've forgotten to call people back as human, but my aim is to respond to people within 24 business hours, you know, a new client or any of my clients who are calling or reaching out to me. But, you know, if I'm calling, sending out 15 different inquiries, like that's not, I didn't slip through the cracks with all of you. And I don't know what's happening there. I really don't, but I hear it across the board. It's hard to find somebody. And actually that's something, I don't remember the name, and this would be super helpful. But there are people, clinicians who are trying to kind of make insurance more accessible and not have clinicians leave so people can use their insurance. But they're putting out, I think, an article. I'm sorry, I don't have the information off the top of my head. No, but something basically, why is it so hard to find a therapist right now? You know, and some of that is about, you know, insurance and how it is difficult to access these things. So these kinds of systemic things they're slow processes.
Yep.
Hey, Kat, I have a question. So do you know, are there any companies out there where like, because this is something that just came to my thought right now that I would love to do, but are there any companies that like will like pay to have someone like you and to, I don't know, help their employees? Like, I guess what I mean by that is I would love to like have you come in, and even if my company paid for it, some sort of, I don't know,
like a lunch and learn, like an EAP, or
not necessarily, because I feel like it's such a personal thing. I don't know if like some sort of program where it's like, hey, if you're an employee, here's you get 401k, all this help. You also have access to like a therapist. Like that would be so cool to like as a company offer that to like our employees. Like, hey, here's a number and all this stuff, and now you got access to a therapist. The company will pay for it. And like, I don't know, is there companies that do stuff like that you're aware of? Or
I believe they would just be EAPs.
It would be the EAP, but
what is that?
Employee Assistance Program.
Okay.
But here's what I'm going to tell you about that.
But I'd rather do it private, though. I mean, like, I'd rather call people like you.
So my journey,
I don't want to go through some other program. I'd rather be like, no, this is someone like I trust. We use them, and we have an agreement. You know, so just to be clear, that's the way I'd rather go.
Yes,
100%. Because my journey through the EAP when I experienced a mental health breakdown was I called the EAP, right? And it was a therapist who was provided by the local.
Wow, so very
system.
Cookie cutter. Like.
Very, very cookie cutter. And realistically, like, this isn't a person that you could sit down and be like, I need to tell you everything that I'm experiencing right now. This was just a person that would say, I understand how you're feeling. Here's some resources.
Wow.
Right.
And I approached my previous employer about that when I had said, you need to bring some kind of a mental health person inside this business so that we as employees can go to this person and say, I need you to listen.
Right.
Yeah, that's not something you streamline or like automate. You know what I mean?
Nobody does that, and that needs to happen.
See, and that's what I would love to, because I want to eventually do like a training facility, and part of the training facility is not just technical. It's like I want to take these future electricians or technicians, and you're going to learn technical stuff, but I want you to learn other life skills too. Right? You know, I want to bring in like finance people to teach finance workshops, but I think the mental health would be a huge one. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like to be able to have someone to talk to in person, by the way, not some phone or the other thing I'm afraid of too is there's like talks of like AI like therapists and stuff like that. I'm like, nah, man, like that's another one. Like that's weird, you know.
Did you hear about
that's
that
dystopian?
Did you hear about that kid that actually like committed suicide because the AI his AI therapist or some kind of an AI program kept saying like, I miss you, come home to me. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
God, I can't remember but it was like all over the news.
Well, dude, just yesterday I was reading that Gemini, the Google one. It was telling the person like you should die. Like it was like you're scum of the earth, and it was like crazy.
Wow.
And I was like, what? And they were freaking out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the part I'm scared of. You know what I mean?
The bad side of it.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, yeah. And Chris, we love technology and like certain parts of AI, but I also know there's a human aspect that we have to hold on to, right? Like. And so I'll never have something like that. You can't replace that part of it, you know? So, no, just to be clear, I ain't trying to go EAP or whatever that is. Like, you know, I want to build relationships, you know what I mean? And be very intentional.
But that's the thing. Like, that's helpful information for me to know because, like, I'm already brainstorming, like you said, you know, helping people become entrepreneurs, start their own business, take charge of their life.
Yeah, we need people like you to combat that.
But I would love to, like, share that with, you know, my colleagues, you know, people who want to reach out or branch out. And it's like you can maybe do private contracting with your people, whoever the population is that you specialize in and work with. Like that's helpful to know.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody's happy. Everybody wins. You know what I mean? And it's something that needs to be more hands-on. Right. 100%. But yeah, it definitely is something to know because that is something that's coming down the pipeline, whether we like it or not. People are just going to be putting AI on everything. I know. You know what I mean? And so we have to know the difference of how it's going to help and how it's going to be detrimental. Right. And with mental health, you can't. That's scary. Don't even entertain it. You know
didn't know that.
I can see you using it maybe in the industry for like very monotonous things, like maybe just very like administrative type things in your business, maybe email type, but don't use it to analyze humans. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think, This is gross.
Yeah, there's already ethics trainings on AI, and people are using it for their notes and everything. But you need to. I don't tech. I'm basically a grumpy old man. Technology.
I think in this industry, that's a good thing. Yeah, keep it old school.
Tech. But there's something where, like, to take notes, you can have the program listen in on your session. Like my doctor, when I just went for a visit, they did that, you know. But so I'm assuming if, like, you get consent, but again, like, I would be nervous of privacy and just, you know, any kind of breakdown in that system that I don't know what's going on.
It's a valid concern, 100%.
Yeah.
You'd have to teach it to, like, redact identifying information somehow.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, notes are a pain in the butt, but I'll just write them.
Yeah. But here's the cool part about it right now is, like, you know, people like us, we're still in a position because this stuff is still unfolding. They're still coming up with how to make it work and stuff. So we don't want to be like putting our head in the sand. You know what I mean? Like we should contribute so that way it at least can kind of be something safe. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because if you're like, I don't ever want to help or anybody, or even if we don't, you know what I mean? It could go down the other path where we let the people use it for bad.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? So that's why I always just bring it up, because you reminded me when you said you called and you talked to someone and they're just like, I'm here to just listen. It was like, yeah, that's probably going to go away eventually. You'll probably have some AI voice by big companies using it for stuff like that. It's just, I wanted to bring it up because I see it coming, and we need people like you to combat that.
Yeah,
bring old school, bring it old school back.
Yep,
angry old man energy.
So there's in mental health, it's just like it's just so like it's a part of our society. There's so much attention. You know, the media and all that stuff in mental health right now, you know, with all the epidemics of school, you know, shootings and all that stuff, especially, you know, I mean, you know, we just had a president-elect was trying to attempt to get assassinated twice.
Right.
You know, and like that, of course, talking trades, we don't take a political view, but that stuff should not happen. Those two people, like there should have been some kind of attention that was paid because there were warning signs all over the place for both of them, you know?
Yeah.
So
100%.
And that's trying to damage control is needed. but prevention is better.
Heck yeah. You start at the beginning, in my opinion.
Right. So starting when, kids are in school. I mean, even before school, like toddlers, like kids are more intelligent, receptive than, again, we probably give them credit for, but it's just being able, how do I teach these concepts to their brains at their age?
Yep.
But, they'll know, like, you can co-regulate breath, like nonverbal things, well before they can even talk. There are very basic ways to help children learn how to regulate their emotions. And that's the thing. If I don't feel in control of myself, I'm going to have low self-worth because I'm going to have a victim mindset. I'm going to be angry at everybody because I don't feel like I have control over anything. It's just going to go down. So I understand a lot of people, again, stereotypically, particularly men, being nervous to get in. I don't want to be seen as weak. I don't want to be seen as feminine. I think emotions are, stupid. If I'm going to be, men with trauma, if I'm going to be powerful or in charge somehow, I can't do those things. And that's not how typical masculine men, blah, blah, all the things I've heard and seen, whatever. But power is being able to have control over yourself.
100%.
Absolutely.
In a healthy way.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like even with my kids, I have a boy and a girl. And with David, you know what I mean? Like I always try to stay like aware of like not trying to push that, toxic masculinity on him, you know what I mean? Because I don't need to. He's a boy. He just naturally wants to be a boy.
Right.
But then he also will go up to a flower and kiss the flower, you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? And I love that, you know what I mean? And I always try to find that balance, you know what I mean? Or if like maybe he wants to cry or something, I'm not like, toughen up, you know what I mean? It's more of like, yeah, it's okay to cry, get the feelings out. So I try to make sure I'm mending that side of the feminine side for him, so that way he's got balance of just knowing how to just control his emotions. And even with my daughter, the same thing. If there's certain things she loves karate, like she wants to get into karate, but David wants nothing to do with karate. I could be like, oh no, my son's gonna do karate and you're gonna do. No, it's like, no, if you don't want to do karate, that's fine, man. Like, what do you want to get into?
Right.
And Ellie, you want to do karate. She also does ballet, so it's like I try to make sure I'm aware of those other sides of their personalities and not try to push them in this box that society feels like they need to be.
Right.
It's a generational thing too. I feel like a lot of the times too. You know what I mean? Like I'm the youngest of 3 boys, and so like they were on the tail end of. God, I'm a millennial, and they were on the tail end of like Generation Z or whatever the hell it is. But anyway, like they grew up in the days of like Camaros and rock music and like you toughen up, you beat somebody up so that you can toughen them up, or you pick on them and you ridicule them so that they can toughen up. It's like no. You want to help somebody like realize who they are. Like you said, like realize who they are as a person. Humanize them.
Absolutely, because they're going to be the ones like running businesses, being teachers. You know what I mean?
And they're going to be the ones that are going to be passing forward that information 100%. Onto their generation.
But that's 100%. The thing, if it's like the whole man up thing, which I really don't like that phrase, because it's basically then respect is linked to violence,
right?
And there are other ways to get respect. Is it violence is I do believe violence has a place, and it's, a necessary outlet for humans, but there's outlets, like finding a healthy way to express those natural human tendencies.
Absolutely.
But being able to, again, understand we are all people with emotions. And so it's like, it's easier to just default to anger. It's easier to default to violence. So how do you have control over yourself and look at that long game and say, how can I gain respect without, just beating somebody up or slapping my kid or whatever. It's like, it takes more effort, but welcome to the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you're allowed to feel how you feel, but there has to be healthy outlets for you.
Exactly.
100%. You got to start with your kids.
Yeah.
Like we do affirmations. I try to do them every day with them. You know what I mean? Because there's going to a certain point where like maybe right now they don't understand why it's important, but I'm hoping when they're an adults, they're like, damn, all that stuff my dad made me repeat to ourselves. I get it now.
Yeah.
Because I know they're going to be adults one day. So I'm trying to distill certain things in them where I can't always be around. You know what I mean? So I need you to be able to be adaptable, resilient. I'm not trying to dictate their life at all. You know, they're going to be whoever they're going to be. I just want them to be able to like navigate the world properly as best as they can.
Exactly.
Know? And if everybody focuses on that, on your children, man, start there. Don't focus on the tail end of it. Focus at the beginning. You know what I mean? Everybody's focused on the sickness, the symptoms, and not how it started.
Right.
You know,
right.
It's just, I think people like you help. Because all this stuff I'm saying, it's all because of people like you. I've talked to them. They helped me come up with it. So now I'm able to kind of work that out in my head.
Right.
But I wasn't able to unless I got help.
Yeah. And I mean, same with me. Like, you know, just because I'm in the field, like I don't necessarily have all the answers. Like I get stuck too. I still need help, you know, being able to see things more objectively from a different point of view.
Yep.
You know, get out of my own bad habits of judging myself, judging others.
And I appreciate your honesty. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's how we move forward when everybody's just like honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like vulnerable, like you showing your vulnerability is like, all right, cool. We're all just human. Like you just said, right? Like that's all that matters here.
Right.
So I always tell people like, you know, if you can find time for yourself, just it's for yourself, wherever you can squeeze that in, make the time, you know what I mean? And so now I've been working on trying to get my whole Mondays off. I get to the afternoon right now, find time for yourself because you deserve that. Because then after that, you can then be useful. And I don't want to say useful, but just you can be yourself, I guess, for the rest of your team and your family.
Right.
And so right now, my Mondays, it's right now, I tell nobody bothers me from like 9 a.m. to like noon. And I try to go be with my kids or go get breakfast. Or sometimes just by myself. I'll go like sit somewhere. Just to like not do anything because I just need that. You know what I mean? And it took about a year to work that out. So it's a long journey. But I feel like if you have your goal set on your mental health, on things that you want to do, you can chip away at it slowly. I'm doing it right now.
And something is better than nothing, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's kind of getting a lot of people just out of that all or nothing black and white thinking where I need a whole day. I need to sit for an hour, you know, and meditate. And it's like, do you have 5 seconds?
Yep.
Everybody I don't care if you know, after you use the restroom and then you just hang out there for an extra minute, like there you have moments, micro moments in the day where you can do very little things. And you know, is that the end all be all resolution to your mental health? No, of course
it's
not.
It's a start. You're moving the needle.
But it's something.
The only reason why I started that journey is because I had like that burnout. I felt like I was losing my mind. I felt like I just couldn't get my thoughts together. And that's why I went to my doctor because I didn't know what else to do. Yeah. And that's when he's like, you got to find the time. And that's when just naturally it was those early mornings. You know what I mean? Because during the rest of the day, chaos, you know what I mean? I get home super late sometimes, half the sleep, because I just said I fall asleep at 7. Sometimes I got to be at work till like 10 or 11. And so like you said, there's those little bits of time, you just got to find them. And for me, it was just in the mornings, and then I've been working at it for like a year now. So you just got to start somewhere.
And that's the difference though, because there's 2 types of stress, you know, that I don't know if everybody knows. You know, there's distress, which is the negative kind, but then there's eustress, EUSTRESS, which is positive stress. And so I never took really a vacation. I would take a break. I would take 2 weeks off every Christmas, 1 week with my family, and then 1 week because I was with my family for a week. And so I'd have that time alone, and that was great. And I was like, that's enough. But I never took a vacation away. And I just recently took a vacation with one of my friends to Turks and Caicos, and I came back feeling more rejuvenated. Just my whole mindset completely shifted. And it was that, you know, taking that time away for me. So it's like, even though I love what I do, like I said, there isn't a day I wake up and I'm like, I hate this, I don't want to do it. I enjoy my hobbies. I, enjoy my personal life, my friendships. I love my husband, like taking care of I love pretty much everything in my life. But that doesn't make it not stressful.
Right.
It doesn't make any of that not stressful. It was just good stress. So I was thinking, well, I don't feel stressed, so I'm fine. I don't need this. Yeah, no, I really did. I didn't have a vacation in a decade.
Wow.
I really needed it.
They say that in order to get the full therapeutic feeling, for lack of a better word, from a vacation, you're supposed to take 3 weeks.
Wow.
Because the first week you are de-stressing from your work. The second week is when you get the actual therapeutic effect from the vacation. The third week is you're preparing yourself to go back into it. And so I've always been an advocate. I've always been an advocate of 1 4-day work weeks. and 2 mandatory 3-week vacations.
Yeah.
And not staycation. I'm not talking about staycations.
Right.
No, get the hell out of your house and
Right.
go experience the world.
Yeah.
The best vacation that I ever have, the memory that I have, it's not when I was a kid. It's when I was when I was an adult. And me and my wife and my son, and we took 3 weeks and we drove with our camper down to Florida.
Nice.
And like full therapeutic effect, and I experienced that itself, that therapeutic feeling of I am relaxed. I'm not thinking about work. I'm here with my family. I'm now the person that I know that I am.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
So,
amazing.
I think that what also is important too is like while you're out vacationing, like pick up some hobbies. You know what I mean? Like do something that, like a stress test. You know what I mean? Like we said, what do you call it? Eustress? Is that what you called it?
Eustress is positive stress.
Is that the same thing as? And I'll tell you what I'm thinking is like kind of like working out, like you're stressing your body.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But it's for good. You know what I mean? It's a good. But
Exactly.
if you overdo it, you could hurt yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think the same thing with like hobbies. Like I always try to find something to challenge my brain or my body. And I see that as almost like stress. Is that considered the same thing? Like I'm stressed, but it's good. I'm trying to figure out this problem. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, and I always, and don't do easy stuff. Like I want to pick up like archery and other things that I've never tried before that seem scary because I know that's going to be like some sort of stress test that's good for me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It keeps me out of complacency, I feel like.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, that is so huge. Like having your brain learn new things.
Yeah.
For
Keeps you young, I feel like.
for all the things, that all those degenerative brain diseases that can happen when you're older, like really good prevention to create new neural pathways. And you can create new neural pathways by being, really simple, like trying to brush your teeth with your left hand if you're right-handed, picking up a new hobby, or learning new coping skills and new ways to communicate.
Yeah, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Exactly.
But in a healthy way,
Right. Just a low level discomfort.
It's good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be facing something here in the next 4 years. We're approaching empty nesters. We're gonna become empty nesters. So it's like filling that time of what do we do?
Yeah.
I got to keep learning, always learning, being a student of life, always learning something new, picking up new skills and things like that.
Absolutely,
So
man.
it's so important.
It's like the glue that just keeps stuff together for you. At least for me, it's just like whenever I'm going through some crazy stuff, I kind of lean on one of those things that I'm into. Right now it's been painting. I haven't painted in like forever. For some reason, I had the urge to start painting again.
Yeah.
Not good. You know what I mean? But like, it's just therapeutic. It was just for some reason, it makes me feel so much better afterwards.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's all I care about at the moment. Is just getting that out, whatever through this medium is.
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah. And I feel like just getting curious helps you find whatever that is. Because I hear a lot of people, well, I'm not really into this and that. I'm like, you got to just do something. Take the step. Information will be created, and then you can figure out what you like or don't like.
If you're really into it, like it's like the hobby fairy isn't going to knock on your door and be like, "You love this." It's like you have to just try stuff.
Just do something.
Try it once. Try everything once.
Yep.
So
100%.
Well, the brain. I mean, the brain is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it will atrophy.
It will
lose 100%. If you can surround yourself by other people who are into that too, that also helps, man. Oh, it's the best feeling.
Oh yeah, well,
connecting.
I was saying all this summer, like I was an hour and a half away up north, and I hated it because I was away from my circle, from my network, and when you're away from like-minded people and you're not able to bounce ideas off you, you just get like. Ugh,
yeah, how much like happier both of us are whenever we're around each other and we get to talk and
much.
just just be open with each other. Like it's huge. Like having your people, your network, and even just a phone call. I know we couldn't see each other in person a lot, but we try to hop on the call and talk sometimes for hours. You know what I mean? But the in-person human connection is so important.
But that's something when people go through a traumatic event, those that have a strong community support system, or strong ties, those are the folks that are less likely to develop PTSD from a traumatic event. And so like having that community is so huge in building resilience.
Yep. 100%.
So Kat, if anybody in the trades wants to come and see you and sit down and talk about maybe becoming a client, how can they get a hold of you?
You can find me on Psychology Today, psychologytoday.com, but probably best go to my website, www.treebrookcounselingllc.com. If you don't put the LLC, you will find some woman, I think, in Texas. That's not me. So Treebrook Counseling LLC.com.
Nice.
There's a contact form on there, my phone number, my email. You can text that phone number, any of those ways.
That's amazing. We appreciate you coming on, and
Absolutely.
we definitely want to have you back.
Definitely want to get
I'm
you
like, I'm like holding back, not wanting to talk about more stuff.
Right, I know. Me too.
Because we could be on all day, you know.
Yeah.
So much.
But we'd love to have you back for sure. It's super important.
It.
So that's amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You. All right, folks. That's it. That's our episode for today. I am your host, Chris Levesque, the man who starts every day with a new horizon. I can be found at New Horizon on all social media platforms. Please don't forget to go to all of our platforms at Talking Trades on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. Dr. Electrician, where can you be found?
Yo, what's up? So simply just ionelectricalllc.com. All our contact stuff on there.
All right, listeners, I hope you enjoyed today's episode on Treebrook Counseling. Don't forget to keep on talking trades. Today's episode music is brought to you by ReZe. You can find him on soundcloud.com/ReZe. We thank you for your contribution to our podcast.